HipHopHumboldt. Hey. Yep. Smoke good.
What's good, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the Hip Hop Humboldt radio show. This is also going to be an episode on the Hip Hop Humboldt podcast as well. Let me get straight into. I wanted to make sure you realize how special of an episode this is right here, because I have one of the dopest artists in Humboldt County in the studio with me right now. And if you already knew, if you saw, I have with me tonight the one and only Dre Meza. What's up, Dre? We're going to be talking to Dre about his background. We're going to be talking about his art that he's done in Humboldt County. A bunch of y'all got tattoos from your boy Dre right here. Yeah, I'm telling you, I've seen it. You know, we'll talk about the shop as well. We appreciate you coming in, Dre. This is going to be a good time, man, because I've been knowing you for a few years now. I think probably one of the first spots we ever met was at the Fat Bowl Cypher. I won a bet.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, I love those things. They're some of the most fun I ever have around here. So
that's one of the main spots to go to in Humboldt County if you're an MC, whether you're just starting off, whether you're in the middle of your path, or whether you've been doing it, like let's say Cypher General NAC 1. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just gonna bring up NAC 1 and say to go to those is, for me, like an honor in the sense of, like, you know, I get to be around folks like, you know, NAC 1,
right.
Legend, you know, not only graffiti legend, but also MC, freestyle legend. This guy can go for days off the top of the head. It's always impressive to hear him get down, and like he's huge inspiration when it comes to MCing, like for real. Like
I definitely agree, man. And, you know, that's the dope thing about NAC 1 is that he's inspiring, you know, literally dozens of cats in this county, you know.
If not way more. Like, he's been here for so many generations. Yeah, like his freestyling, his just, you know, his written work is amazing. And then, you know, I'm personally a huge fan of his graffiti work as well. Like,
big time. Which I've seen you do some dope things as well, my brother, for real.
Yeah, I've been real fortunate myself out here, graffiti-wise, and able to learn from some of the biggest legends, like, in my opinion, and, like, honored to be around. You know, there's, like, Demise.
Shout out Christopher
Demise. It was Lobo.
Got the homie Lobo.
You know, yeah. And then Akers, Kyle. He's just and these guys are so sick, and they took me under the wing and, like, you know, showed me how to do little bits here and there, and just said, do your thing, man, and trusted me to get down. And, like, yeah, it's been a huge honor to work with those folks. Like,
heck yeah. No, we're going to talk about that, too. We're going to talk about the OC crew. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get there. That's one of the more recent in the last few years in terms of specifically the OC crew. And shout out to y'all for what y'all been doing. I've seen mural after mural that y'all have done, whether it's at the Canifest, whether it was at the Redwood Retro, whether it was other spots. Where's, you know, in that there's a yard back in, you know what I'm saying, where there's a bunch of graffiti, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, murals and everything like that. Y'all did the whole line. Y'all blew it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love it.
So one of our favorites, or my favorites anyway, that we did was, there's two of them. There was one that unfortunately got covered up for the Canifest last year, so we covered it, but it was, we did the Max, the OC crew, we did the Max theme on there, and, like, covered so much ground and did a big organized. It was so dope. It's my favorite piece we did. But the other one that's still up is at, what was it, 2030 Park? Is that it? The one in Eureka?
The new, and then they just remodeled it and everything like that. The Dayas Park.
Yeah, we did a Sandlot themed fence piece right by the ballpark diamond, and they built, like, everything, like, around that. So, like, they put these big baseballs in front of it. It was, like, you know, separate everything, and, like, kept that there.
Wasn't that one of the first ones that y'all did as the OC crew, or no?
No, but not one of the first ones, but definitely in the early part of it. Yeah, and like one of my favorites because like just how much the kids in the community loved it. Like that was just epic.
Oh
Like
yeah, no, and that's what we're doing it for. Especially when it comes to hip hop. All four pillars. We trying to teach the youth.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and like with that one, like we finished that piece. Took us like a week to finish it up. We got it done. Didn't get to take pictures of it because it was kind of like nighttime already. So went back the next day, or like a day or two later, and believe it or not, somebody had taken white paint and just like splashed it all over it.
Oh,
And
I remember. I remember.
oh man,
And
it
y'all
was,
were like, "Hey, once we find out who did this, y'all
yeah.
are in some trouble."
But the overall, we were like, everybody's like, yeah, I guess that's it. It's ruined. And we thought, nah, we got more paint than they do.
Right.
So we went back and repainted it, and nobody's touched it since.
Exactly. Because that's major disrespect in terms of in graffiti. What I'm saying, culture. Like that's what I'm saying. That's the kind of thing where somebody will find you over.
Yeah, and see, the thing was, it wasn't even like we were being tagged over by another graffiti artist. Somebody literally took a bucket of paint and just splashed it on the wall. So it was like just a community, like some person in the community was straight hating.
Right. Oh, 100%.
And so
they be out there. They be out there, brother, for real.
Yeah, they watched us do this for a week, came out and did that. I was heartbroken as could be, and then told the guys about it, and they said, I remember Demise, saying, you know what, we got more paint. Let's just keep going. And Akers, same thing. He's like, we got more paint than they do, guaranteed.
That first one was the practice round.
Yeah.
Now this is gonna kill it.
Yeah, they were like, you know what, we needed to fix some parts of it anyway. So
Right, exactly. They just spurred more talent to come out.
But I feel like that moment of us like going back and doing it again kind of showed even some of the youth out there that like don't let people beat you down, bro. Like,
exactly.
keep at it, and if they don't like it, you know what, do it again.
Exactly, my brother. No, I love that. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. Really, really teaching the youth, not just in terms of the skills, but in terms of the culture. Like this is how you represent the culture. And when somebody does this, you don't just roll over.
Yeah.
You stand on 2 feet and you move it. You make it happen again.
Show them like we got this.
Exactly. Let me do something, brother, because for some reason, of course, it happened to be during our show that somebody's out front mowing the lawn. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the studio door right here. And then for you, brother, just like when you on the mic at the Cypher, bro, try to eat that mic a little bit so that way you're coming up nice and good on the levels and stuff. Let me go close this door real quick, brother.
Will do.
All right, and then we'll cut that out on the podcast, you feel me? Live radio, they're hearing it all. It is what it is. Y'all are hearing the real deal, FM Live Radio, Shout out to y'all for tuning in. This is Hip Hop Humboldt Radio on Humboldt Hot Air 94.7, humboldthotair.org. And once again, I have Dre Meza in the studio with me. So I wanted to get into some things with you, brother, because, so we got, almost 2 hours. And so I want to really talk to you about your coming up, like where you came, where you grew up, where you was living at before Humboldt, what you was doing, what led you, what was your path like? You know what I mean? What was it all looking like for you in terms of and let me make sure I got these levels right. I don't want to be clipping out there for the people because I get loud. And you know what I'm saying? And then, like what some of your influences were on the hip hop side and on the artistic side, you know what I'm saying? And, I just want to, it's your time. This is your, episode. And I'm blessed to do it with you right here, right now.
Man. I appreciate it big time.
The blessing's all mine, brother. The pleasure's all mine for real. You know what I'm saying? So where did you grow up? Because I know you ain't from Humboldt County.
Not originally, no. Like before I was here, I was telling you, a little town north of Sacramento called Woodland, little one-horse town. When I first moved there, it's a lot bigger now. It's crazy now, but I grew up there as a little kid. I moved there when I was like, I think, like 12 or so, 11 or 12 years old. Still a little kid, still riding around on my skateboard, had the funny haircut and shit, and was, one of the few brown kids around there people was tripping on, and there was those other Mexicanos around there, but like. Kind of kept to their own. I grew up, surfer child before that in Oceanside, so I was, always used to being around like all these surfer kids. I talked a lot different.
Right.
Everybody thought I was strange, and then, with my name, my name is Andres, and so they asked like, "What's your name?" And I said Andres, and, redneck kid, Andres. I said no, and then after a little debate, one of the kids says, "What if we called you Dre?"
Boom.
I said, I'm cool with that if you're cool with that. And I became, like, that's been my name ever since. And, like, they tried some other ones, but they didn't really stick. But, yeah, I grew up way out there. And then,
So now now Woodland is rural.
yeah.
It's straight up, because when I drive through Woodland, man, I'm looking at like there's like, you know, like there's like tractors, like a big lot that sells tractors, you know what I'm saying? And there's like a lot of farms and stuff like that. And this is north of Sacramento.
Yeah. And, like, it's less now than it used to be, believe it or not. When I moved there, like, it was farmland as far as you could see in any direction outside of that town. Like, that you could not see anything past. Like, you look out my back window of my bedroom and it was just a couple of cows and then forever flat. Like, it was depressing as could be. And as a kid who'd come from, like, living off, you know, next to the ocean, moving to a little, like, town in the middle of nowhere, it's hot as could be.
Right.
Like, you know, I grew up on the beach as a kid. And so to move to a place that all of a sudden is like over 100 degrees in the summer, I was like, how the heck how do you live like this? You
Right. And no water, no beachfront to be able to go to cool off with.
No, I remember it was a few years into it, you know, I think I was like 15 or 16, 14 years old. And I remember asking somebody, like, what do you do to cool down? Like, where do you go for water? And they said, oh, what do you mean? I said, you want to hit a beach? And I was like, yes, a beach. Where's a beach around here? I said, oh, we got a sweet beach. I said, I can't wait to see this. Let's go.
Yeah.
They drive me out to the Sacramento River, which ain't, you know, it's water, but it's green.
Right.
And it's slow moving.
And there's no sand.
And there's no sand. It's just this drop off and this green water moving real slow and slimy. And they're just flopping around in that. And I stayed on the beach and they said, you ain't getting in? I said, no, I'm cool. It's hot as hell out here. I said, I know, but I'll just sweat. Like, I'm not getting in that water. There's no way.
Yeah.
It took me a couple of years to finally get in that water. And I was just like only knee deep at that point, you know? And like, yeah, it was and then I remember complaining, like, how you call this a beach? There ain't even any waves. And this guy says, oh, you want waves? I said, yeah. He said, hold on a little while. I said, what do you mean? This boat goes driving by, made these little tiny ripples on it. He said, there's your waves. I said, those aren't waves.
Oh, man.
I said, this is how you guys live. I can't do this.
Right. That's like a wash in the city town, bro. That's crazy. That's not the beach.
No, they had no idea. Like, most of those people had never actually seen the beach in their life. So, you know, I'm telling them about, like, yeah, I grew up, like, every morning before school. When I lived in Oceanside, I lived on the beach. Literally, you walk out of my door, there's sand, and then you hit the beach. So I used to surf every morning right before school, before the bus came, and like from where my bus stop was, I could ride waves in and see the bus coming. So I knew we got like 2 more waves, and then, the bus will be there. And so I'd always get on the bus soaking wet. And they're like, you used to go to the beach in the morning before school? I said, yeah, I always forget my shoes out on the beach, show to school, all barefoot. And I was a little hippie child, They were just always calling my mom, hey, does he have shoes? She's like, yeah, he's got shoes.
Like, right.
They're sitting out here on the beach. Well, I'll bring them to him. But I moved to Woodland, completely different story. Hot, dry, arid as could be. People were completely different, So it was definitely a culture shock for a young kid. And the other thing too, living in Oceanside around the city, you walk around, not everybody tries to talk to you,
Right.
Live in Woodland, walk around, somebody says, hey, how you doing today?
They want to know everybody.
Yeah, how's the weather going? How you been? How's your mom? And I'm like, you know my mom? They're like, no, not yet, but tell me about your mom. I'm like, I don't even know you, dude.
Right, I'm definitely not telling you about my mom.
They're like, oh, we're neighbors. I'm like, not yet, I barely just met you. Like 3 blocks from my house, you're not really a neighbor. But they had a whole different mentality then, They were a real small town, everybody wanted to know everybody kind of thing. So yeah, it's very different.
Right. And so when did you move from Oceanside to Woodland? How old were you?
I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, my mom, we lived, like I said, in a little spot by the beach, and that's where all the jarheads would come in, and like get dropped off because we lived just short of Camp Pendleton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was military everywhere, and like, the jarheads, as they called them back then. And so, my mom met one of them jarheads, and they fell in love and all that kind of stuff. There was all kinds of trauma in between, but, save that for another day. But they fell in love kind of thing, and then he said, I got family in Woodland and, near Sacramento. We're going to move up there, and we got a house and all this stuff. And, we got there, and I'm like, cool house, but it's in the middle of damn nowhere. Like,
right.
I'd rather be in my little bungalow on the beach, but no, so...
Right.
But yeah, I ended up growing to love Woodland. Like the springtime hit. Like I gotta say, like one of my favorite seasons out there is the spring in Woodland when everything starts blooming. And
Oh yeah, I
those,
bet.
those rolling hills turn green and gorgeous, and it just smells so nice and flowers everywhere. So I kind of fell in love with the country after a little while. But summertime came, and I'm like, I'm gonna go hide in the shadows until winter comes again.
Till it cools down.
Yeah.
No, I know, because man, I grew up in a hot place in California too, in the Mojave Desert, and so I know that like that heat when when spring is ended and summertime is there. I mean, you can't avoid it, so you just like miserable.
Literally 96 degrees at midnight kind of shit.
Right,
Sure,
right.
sorry.
No, you got. I appreciate you self-censoring. That's what I'm saying, and that's one of the interesting things about California, right? Is that we basically got like almost all climates, all
Every
types
climate.
of. We do.
Yeah, from one end to the other. Yeah, we cover so much of the coast, you get a little bit of everything.
And then you come up here to Humboldt County, where you get multiple seasons in one day.
Oh my God, yes. The weather is so bipolar out here.
It's crazy.
Beautiful, sunny one day. The next day you got drizzling rain. The next morning it's bright and sunny again. But the halfway through, she kicking the fog on you.
Right. And then that'll burn off for 2 hours, and it'll be hot. You got to take your sweater off, and then by 4 o'clock, you got to put a sweater back on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy up here. It's interesting. It's there's that California coastal, Pacific Northwest coastal weather, and so it's something to get used to. I'm sure that you probably had to get used to it when you moved from. How long did you live down in Woodland?
I was there for, I want to say, like 13 or 14 years.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah,
into your 20s.
Yeah. So like it was my teenage years up until about 20 years, because I'm pretty sure I turned 21 up here.
Okay.
So yeah, this is like that celebration of freedom and everything. Like moved out the house for good. Like tried a couple times like everybody else did, and then back up there for a summer or so, and then finally said I got a job up there. I'm gonna be working in the forest, and it's gonna be cool. And then I came
dope.
up here and.
What was you doing?
I started out up here. My first job was with the California Conservation Corps.
Oh yeah. Yep. There's a lot of people like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it to folks. Like strangely as it was, like they don't lie to you about anything there. I mean, they're straight up and raw about it. Like their advertisement, hard work, low pay, miserable conditions, and more. It's ingrained in my mind because I thought it was just a catchy phrase to get you like kind of like comedy. No, they mean every word of that.
Right.
Especially the low pay and more.
Right.
But they take care of you, like you can like live on the little complex there, which I tried it out. It wasn't for me, but luckily I had some other people here in Arcata who were like, dude, you can come live with us and still work and do the whole thing. And they were part of the crew, so I got lucky that way. But yeah, it was a cool job though, man. I worked out in the forest in some like the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life, man. Like to go out and work in like headwaters, like 7-8 miles in, 15 miles in on the river.
Oh, wow,
Like,
yeah.
You're hiking a good ways and you're carrying a ton of equipment, and it's hell. But when you get there and you sit down for a minute to take a break and get to and take it all in, it's one of the most like that stuff's gonna be with me till like way past my last days. Those are those memories. Like
right. That's the positive thing about California, about the CCC. You know what I mean? I got a family friend, who at least when we haven't talked to them in years, but she was one of the higher ups, if not the director of the local CCC. And one of the things that she always told me was a lot of people, not talking about you, I'm just talking about people come up and like go to school and they'll be with the CCC, and they're coming from the city and they can't muster it. They can't do it because they're not used to that like labor intensive outdoor work. If you're used to being in the concrete jungle like we grew up in, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. And even with that, like when I got introduced to the idea of the CCC, it was in Sacramento. So they're like, come join the CCC. And, I was like, what's this all about? So I went and checked it out at one of them job fairs out there. And so I was like, so what do we do, with this one? And, they're giving you all this hype about we're doing this, we're doing that. And one of the actual guys there says most of our time we spend in one of them neon vests on the side of the road just cleaning up garbage on the freeway. I said, for real? That's what you do when you get in trouble? He said, yeah, right. we do it, but we get paid. I said, how much? He said, minimum wage. At the time, I was like, that's $4 an hour.
Back then it was.
Yeah, I was like, I'd rather get in trouble and just like take my chances. Like, and then somebody was like, well, that's not as cool as I thought it was going to be at all. And then somebody told me from the job fair, well, like, the CCC, we're throughout, all of America. And I said, oh, really? And he said, or, throughout, we're spread out. I said, what are some other places? And they said, oh, well, clean up the side of the road ain't your thing. We have this place and this place. And they mentioned Humboldt. And a friend of mine was already on his way up here to work for him. And I said, oh, you got spots in Humboldt? I said, we always got spots in Humboldt. I said, I will take one of them, like in the forest. And,
oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to living in Woodland, I get it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so like to live, come here and see like the magical like redwood forest and be in it, like places where like some of the spots they took us, we hiked so far back that they like it was private property. So like they were like people haven't been back here for like 20, 30 years. Like this stuff's so untouched, and to see the forest not inhibited by humans at all is a completely different feeling. It feels prehistoric. You feel like maybe like you might want to watch out because you ain't the top dog in this place anymore.
Right,
yeah. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's dope.
But yeah, it was gorgeous and beautiful. So yeah, I was pumped on that job. As miserable as it was, but and then there was days when they made us work on the Manila dunes, pulling a mouthful of grass. Mm-hmm. Now I felt like I must have done something real bad in another life to get that job. That is some of the worst storms Humboldt County's had in like 50 years. You're out there in nothing but rain gear with a shovel and some gloves on, pulling this mouthful of grass out of the dunes, and it's got roots that are like 20 feet long, and like you could clear a big old area and the next day see sprouts coming up, and it's just so heartbreaking.
Right.
And they make you do it rain or shine, they don't care.
And you're talking about on the dunes.
Yeah.
And so from my experience and the people that I've talked to as well, like be out there on certain points, it's like there be ticks too.
Oh, there's, ticks and, it's nasty out there. But when it's storming, like, it's a whole nother world. It was like warfare, it felt like.
Oh, man.
You're just trying to hold on to everything and keep it from blowing away, and your boss is sitting in the truck all nice and warm and just, like, gets on you with the radio. Says, how's everything going out there? You trying to talk. He's like, I can't hear you. I'll get back to you in a little bit.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, but the whole winter of that, I was just like, man. And then, summer and spring come around, they give you the good jobs again, and you're just you're like, this is why I'm here, and keeps you going enough until winter came around again. And I was like, I can't do this. I got to get a real job. I got to get something else.
But then you get established and you get, your housing locked in, get yourself,
exactly.
The things you need to be able to live.
And
I think that's one of the things that job is for, is to help you get established.
Yeah, and it really is. And it when I first moved up here and like I was working there for about a year, and other people, I see a lot of homeless folks and young folks, sitting out the corner. Hey, bro, you got something for me? I said, I got something better than a couple bucks for you, bro. He said, what you got? I told the guy, I said, I got clothes for you. I got car for you. I got a place for you to stay. I got meals for you every day. And he said, what, for real? I said, yeah. I handed him one of the cards. I said, give this dude a call right here. You have all that in like less than a month, bro. Oh, this is a job. And I said, yeah. Oh man, you can keep your job. I said, you can keep your homelessness then. See what I'm saying? I was like, you gotta work. I was like, if I gotta work, you gotta work, bro. I'm not trying to get down to you, but you the same age as me. You healthy? Like, I'm telling you, bro, I was where you at. Mm-hmm. All you gotta do is put in some work. It's actually not that bad, man. I'm not trying to work. I said, well, then I'm not trying to help you out, right?
Right. I mean, you gotta work to live. Ain't no situation where you ain't gonna be able to work.
No, you can if you ain't willing to try to help yourself, why would I? Why should anybody try to help you?
Right.
So I was just so I was telling people all the time, I'll give you everything. Listen, a couple of people though, they did call and they did get a job, and I don't know how long it lasted. It wasn't around, but I was just like, no, that's how I started, man. Like, trust me, it's worth it, bro. It's a cool little spot,
Yeah. Nah, and it's and it's cool people that you're working around.
Yeah, and it's all local folks that you get to meet around here when you're working around and stuff, and. Yeah, some of the folks, they've been through it in life. A lot of folks that were there when I got there were like, on that last leg, like, this was like their last shot at trying to do something right for themselves. I'm like, well, go for it, bro. Like, what's the worst can happen? You in Humboldt. Like, it's a beautiful place to be.
Right.
How much trouble can you get yourself into? I managed to do all right, so.
Yeah, I believe it. And so how many years were you with the CCC?
For almost I think 2 years I stayed with them. The second season, once that they were like, wintertime's coming around, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to chill this time. And
we ain't going out to the dunes again.
Yeah, I started working, I think right after that I started working for, I think I was working for Ramon's Bakery for a little while. Yeah, I think that's what I ended up with after that was I did like a couple little construction jobs here and there because I used to do construction back in Sacramento when I was a teenager and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did like carpentry and plumbing, all that kind of basic kind of stuff. But so I got a couple here, but it was very you got to know somebody, and the skin color made a difference.
100%.
I stepped up to the job site, and they were like, one guy literally told me, he said, "We don't really got work for your kind." I said, "Well,
like that?"
I said, "What do you mean my kind?" He said, "You know what I mean." I said, "Oh."
He didn't even backtrack it.
No. He said, "You know what I mean." I said, "All right, bro. Well, thanks anyway. Yeah. Good luck to you, man." And so a lot of the job sites were like that. Very. Yeah. So okay. So
That's interesting because around here, like with those types of skills, like it's especially even from when I moved up here 22 years ago till now, like carpentry people, like people that have handyman or carpentry skills or any kind of trade skills like that, like they're in high demand.
Oh, well sought after, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you got any kind of working skills like that, like in my opinion, you was a very, very necessary person in the world.
100%. Especially, and we can get into that later on because I could do a whole diatribe on it. But with things going towards AI, it's like, what are the jobs that are going to exist without a doubt, regardless? It's going to be electricians, plumbers, carpenters. You know what I'm saying?
People who have that thinking capability to work on the spot, on the fly, to figure out problems when they're happening, as they're happening, and make it work. Yeah. That's a whole nother job skill. Like,
yeah.
I got a lot of love and respect for my folks who still do that stuff because, like, it's hard work. It's physical labor. It's hard work. And, like, I did it for when I was younger, when I could handle it. Nowadays, I'm like, I got friends who do that. I don't mind paying them. Like,
yeah, I feel for real.
It keeps them paid, keeps me from breaking my back so I can do work to pay them. Like,
right.
It's a nice
Neither
circle.
of us, we ain't 20 years old no more that.
I got to admit, when I'm getting older now, like, I can do some things, but I ain't trying to be swinging a sledgehammer anymore and dig a big old trench anymore.
Right, exactly. And I do know some cats. Shout out to my couple homies. Shout out to the homie Adam, brother. This cat, I'm not totally sure because sometimes people age really well where they might be older than they even look. But this cat looks like he's in his like late 50s, early 60s and still doing that carpentry. And he just tells me like it's like an art. Every movement is an art because if you don't do it properly, you're going to mess yourself up.
Yep.
To be able to do it for 20 to 30 plus years, you got to be one of the most artful people.
You got to be efficient at what you do and no extra nothing is, cut out all that extra movements, all that, and just be just what it takes to do the job. Yeah.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. That's cool though, man. But yeah, most definitely though, coming up here, I completely believe it that was some of the feedback that you got. Somebody talking about, we don't have no work for your kind. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy because that's crazy. From where we both grew up in Southern California. So I grew up in L.A. You grew up in Oceanside, right near SD, San Diego, and you know what I'm saying. So that's what I mean. Like it's most of the people when you look around, you're looking at black and brown folks.
Yeah. I grew up around a lot of like Samoans and so like I used to get confused for Samoan all the time. People still today, always think I'm Samoan and stuff. And it gets nasty with that even too. Sometimes it's crazy.
There's a lot of racism against Samoans too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No, like I have a group of Samoans I was working with tattooing, and met them at a convention. We're hanging out. They're from New Zealand. They're New Zealanders, and so so they're from there, and they're talking to me, and we're hanging out. And we're getting along great. We hung out a few times out, we just chilled for like weekends and, here and there at different conventions. And then a little while into it, they start talking to me in their native tongue. And I told, "Oh, bro, I'm sorry." He's like, "You don't speak your own tongue?" I said, "No, it's not that. I'm Native American and Mexican." Like, what? And keep in mind the whole time we're talking that weekend before this conversation happened, it's about unity and love and we need to see past all this, and start to come together as a people and understand that we all one people and all this talk like that. And then they find out I'm not from New Zealand, I'm not from one of the islands, and they just shunned me completely.
Dang.
They didn't look in my direction. They wouldn't speak to me, and I was like, "No, I'm actually I'm Mexican and Native, and half and half, and from the mainland." All right, bro.
Whole switch up.
Yeah, only one of the people there, one of the main guys, he was just like, "Don't mind them." They with that old mindset. I said, "Yeah, but we spent a whole so much time talking about brotherhood and love. Was that all it was?" And he said, "Some people that way, man." I said, "That's weird though, because we still the same color. We got the same facial features. We ain't that far apart,
Right. And then on top of that, dealing with the same experiences of racism against people of color in this country, And so it's interesting. And it do be like that though, man. It'd be really crazy.
Yeah, that I don't know I don't call it reverse racism, but like I don't even know what you call it. But being racist against like other brown people is just strange to me. Like
I know.
I don't even try to be racist against white people. Like, but like being like racist against your own folks, I'm like, it's just strange to me. Yeah,
It'd be like that. And that was down you when you was in Oceanside.
No, this was just me doing the convention circuit with tattooing and stuff, and some folks.
Oh.
Yeah. This is like probably like 8 or 9 years ago. Yeah. And
Oh, okay.
some folks that I met. Yeah, like wonderful, like honestly wonderful people. Like I had a great time with them, and like I learned so much from them. And even though like they kind of like reversed the whole thing at the end, like I still took a lot of what they said, and like even though you might not have meant it as much as you thought you did, it still hit me enough to like change my perspective on life and the way I think about people. And like, so yeah, it was an interesting thing to see people like brown people unite, and then I'm like, oh, I'm a different shade of brown, and it was just like, oh.
Right.
All right, well, see you around. I'm like, what does that mean?
That's crazy, That's so interesting too. And so they were doing tattoos. They were tattooing.
Yeah, these guys are like world-renowned, amazing, tattoo artists. Like again, great people, but just that whole perspective of like, oh, because I'm not the same shade, we can't hang together like the same way we did just a little while ago. Now there's this separation. Like, I'm like,
right. That's so interesting. It's so interesting, and that's kind of like it's a bit of this thing that what I'm saying. I'll talk about it a lot when I'm talking on, let's say, podcast episodes or radio show, whatever it is. But it's like already twice in this episode right now, we're talking about two different instances of prejudice and racism that you experienced. One from when a white person up here said, oh, we don't have no work for your kind. Two, brown people being prejudiced against even other brown people. You know what I'm saying? It's so interesting the way this society is set up, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, like this the indoctrination that we all go through to some degree or another from, it doesn't matter where you are from the world, it seems to still get in there somehow and like still have us all to some degree or another, like
right.
I'm sure some of what I don't see as a prejudice or something like that, somebody else would talk to me for a little bit and walk away and be like, that dude is crazy. Like, so, I wish they'd call me on it and tell me so I could learn, but yeah, like but in life people have before though, like I've been as a kid, like there's lots of phrases we use as youngsters, and like when I was a youngster I used to say, people please forgive me when I say this, but when you feel like you got robbed on something, as a kid I grew up always being told, oh, you got gypped.
Oh yeah,
they
yeah.
gypped
Yep,
me,
yep, yep.
And then like I grew up around somebody who was a gypsy, and I'm like saying this all the time, and you just look at me, this whole family's looking at me, I'm like, what'd I say? They said, do you know what that means? I said, no. It means you got gypped, like they took your stuff. And he said, it means gypsies are thieves, like, and that's how you see us. And I was just like, I didn't even, I was too young to even associate it with gypsy. Like, I just, gyp, just like a little.
That's how I learned it too, was just the word gyp, and that's how it was associated. And that's so ingrained for us to not even know what it really means, but then the connotation of it being like you got stole from or stolen,
like somebody's a thief,
And that's just how we've, like, were raised.
Yeah, and like, stuff I had no idea. So, at that moment, I was like, well, I'm going to do my best not to ever say that again,
Right,
so
that's out of my vocabulary too.
So I tried to cancel that out and like so many other little things like that, but like it's crazy how we get thrown into that without even realizing it. It's because you start so young, like.
Yep, 100%. And the interesting thing about it is, and not to go too far on a tangent, but it's just like with the younger generation now, I feel like a lot of them don't have a lot of that because they've grown up now in this world where like we've learned what we mislearned or learned that was improper at a younger age, and so we don't do that anymore. So these younger kids aren't being exposed to it. But on the flip side of it, there are the families that are more, whether you say progressive or politically correct and knowledgeable about race and about different cultures to where they know about things. But on the flip side of it, there are young kids. It's not like all young kids are perfect. There are young kids who are growing up in these Make America Great Again type families, and they are literally being taught that,
that indoctrination is,
it's interesting. But so that's so crazy, man. So now you were in the California Conservation Corps for a couple years. Then you got out of that. We're doing some construction work and stuff around here. What was with your art? Like, what was some of the first like channels and methods that you were using to get your art out, get your creative expression out?
Out here, like, so when I first moved out here, like, visual art, as a kid, I wasn't like super encouraged to be an artist by my family, believe it or not. Like, they were my mom, I love you, mom, but like she wasn't very like, she just like, you can't make money like that. Art is like pastime, fun stuff. Like, so very discouraged by the family to be an artist. So I kind of took a long break from doing like any like real art for a long time. Like I just like, little doodles here and there and that kind of stuff. Moved up here and started playing music as an outlet. So I got in this little reggae band up here. This guy was teaching me how to play bass, and I was playing drums, and so we were doing like all this fun stuff. And
What was the name of the band?
The Maroons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were like this old school of Maroons, and we had like this cool little reggae band going on. It was super fun, man.
Oh,
And
tough.
the main guy, he was in college up here, and he had been studying. He was like classically trained musician, so he was like really well, like very, very knowledgeable musician. He's actually a professor now of social studies and music in like Boston.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he took it all the way. Like this guy's super genius. Like and jazz music, like crazy badass jazz player, like amazing.
Heck yeah.
And so yeah, he was like the head guy. And, we hung out one day, and I seen all his instruments. I'm like, dude, this is the coolest room I've ever seen. You got so many cool instruments. He says, you play anything? I said, I always wanted to. So what have you always wanted to play? I said, I would love to learn how to play bass, but ain't nobody teach me. He said, what are you doing tomorrow?
Oh man,
Yeah.
not just smart, a genius with the music, but cool enough to be showing folks.
Yeah, he was all about teaching, and so like, literally, I was just like, I'll come hang out with you. He said, all right, well, he grabbed his bass, grabbed an amp, put some stuff together. So what's all this? He said, take this home, teach you some quick scales. Showed me a couple scales. He said, shit, you got them already, man. Like, go home and just practice that for hours until your fingers feel like they're gonna fall off. So I did that. Next day, came and met up with him, practiced some more. He said, all right, now watch my fingers, what I do. Practice. He said, man, you pick it up quick. And so we just started getting down. We had a good old time with it. So that's how I started my artistic like expression of any kind when I got up here. Met a guy who played guitar, and we're sitting down one day, taking a little break from playing music, and I see he's got this little sketchbook out. So I said, mind if I take a look? Opened it up, seen some of the most amazing pen work I've ever seen. This dude just drew with a regular big pen, and it looked like perfect shading and like smooth. And I was like, how do you do that with a pen?
This was the guitarist.
Yeah. And he asked, do you draw? And I said, I used to when I was a kid, a long time ago. It's been forever. He puts a pen in the book, closes it up, and says, bring it back to me next week when we meet. Just add on to what I got. And I was like, you want me to? I'm not going to add on to that. I can't. Like, no way. Gave myself anxiety for a week, and the last day or two started getting down and, messing with it, and came back and showed him. He said, all right, cool. And he liked it. And so the next time he came, he said, yeah, here's another book. And I gave him one, and so we just started trading. And after a little while, we started playing less and less music and doing more and more art together.
Oh wow!
And eventually, we opened up a little studio together, and we rented a little garage and just started doing art out of there and doing murals and we took this big butcher paper and would line the walls with it and do big charcoal pieces, and then we bring in kids from the community and let them get down and practice and have fun.
Dope.
And out of that came, I don't know if you remember, back a long time ago, there was in Eureka the accident gallery.
I don't remember that. That sounds dope though.
Yeah, it was me, my buddy Rick, and another guy named Matthew. We kind of came together. We're wanted to do some art shows, and we were doing art together here and there. And this, this is a little bit after the music thing kind of died off. And Rick and I were just hanging out doing our own thing, and then so we met Matthew, and he had just moved here from New York or somewhere like that. And so yeah, we started hanging out and. We just were trying to do shows. Nobody wanted to show our work because we were a little too progressive for most people. Our stuff was way too. They're like, "What is this stuff? It's crazy." And so we were like, "Well, we'll show our own stuff." And so yeah, we opened up a little spot called the Hit and Run Gallery, is what we called it at first. And we would literally take an abandoned space or an empty building, deck it all out in one night, do the show on Arts Alive, and the next day be gone.
Oh wow!
And when we did the show though, we had live bands, DJs, lights, the whole we really went all out and just for one night, showed
that's
art from
dope.
like 15 people. We had like between, I think at one point we had like 15, 20 people, like collaborative. And so we were doing these crazy fun shows.
And you talking about Arts Alive in Eureka.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So yeah, we were blowing it up out there, having a good time. And then it got so good, we were like, well, let's talk about getting a spot. So yeah, we opened up the Accident Gallery in Old Town. And that spot out there was like an abandoned building. Like nobody was in that section of town. It's like where the Mission is down there. Like it was just dark and scary when we first went there. Like you go there now, it's all lit up. Everybody's going down there. When we were down there, it was like you turn down the street. It was like a Scooby-Doo episode, Like you hear the like see like some leaves blow by, in the darkness, and everyone's like, "I'm not going down there. You go down there." So it took a little while, but we got that bumping down there and kind of changed. And what I feel anyway, we changed the art scene in Eureka and Humboldt County on that level. And we had the Accident Gallery came out, Empire Squared formed shortly after.
Right.
There was the visual, what do they call themselves? Visual Assault, I think it was, and that was like Dwayne Flatmo, Tony Machado, like all these big name guys, the legends in my opinion, like the real amazing legends. Yeah, these guys are all heroes.
Right.
But so we're doing shows together and stuff, and I was getting to meet like all my legends, my heroes in the painting world and stuff. Yeah, it was a crazy awesome scene. Like probably I want to say like that was my early 30s. Yeah, so like about 20 years ago now. So
Okay.
yeah, it's a good time though.
Oh, if you aging yourself right there, bro, you look real good for what age you just indicated you were, brother. Let me tell you what.
I'm gonna be, believe it or not, I'm gonna be 50 here in like another month and a half, 2 months.
Bro, you could get by with you could pass for definitely somebody in their early to mid 30s, bro. For real.
Appreciate it.
Hey, we age slower. You know what I'm saying?
I got an art life. I just sit and I draw pictures for a living. I ain't got stress like most people.
See, that's the crucial thing. You know what I'm saying? This world wants to grind you, and you said no.
Nah, I stepped back and art, man, it saved my life in a lot of different ways. Like, yeah, it changed everything for me. I've been very fortunate since I've been up here in Humboldt to live an art life. Like in the last like 20 plus years, I'd say the last 20. I've been here for 25. I would say like 22 to 23 of them has been just focused on making art. Like like even before I started tattooing, I was working for HCAR at the time.
Oh yeah.
But because the art gallery was cool and a lot of fun, but we weren't selling a lot of stuff. We were just having a really good time showing art, growing as artists, but it didn't pay the bills, so still had to work. So yeah,
HCARs are doing good. They were doing good work though, man. That's important work.
That's probably one of my funnest jobs I've ever had. Honestly, I've worked a lot of jobs in my life, and like working with those folks, with the developmentally disabled and the senior folks. It was like one of the greatest things, man. Like as a little kid, this is the dark side of like my childhood. Is like my grandmother was not very fond of me as a child. She did not accept me as like family. So I never really had like grandparents as a little kid. Like most people, my friends, be like, I'm going to my grandparents' house. We can go do grandparent stuff. I'm like, that's cool. I don't know what that's about. They're like, you don't have grandparents? I'm like, no. Now that I think about it, I don't have any grandparents. And they're like, that's just weird. I said, well, I've never had it, so I didn't know. Move up here, fast forward 20-something years later, 30 years later, get up here, and I start working at the senior center. All of a sudden, I got like 50 to 60 grandmas. And every one of them is as sweet to me as my grandmother ever should have been, and then more. And like, they were the most accepting, loving old folks ever. And like, I remember sitting back and saying, life has got a crazy balance like that. My whole childhood, it was like, you don't get no grandma. And then I said, here's 50 of them. And they're all going to love you so nice. Like,
heck yeah.
They were the sweetest grandmas, making you stuff, making food, making candy. Like one of the ladies I worked with, she was one of the original recipe makers for C's Candies. So she knew like all these crazy C's Candy recipes. And she would just when she found out, she made some fudge one day. And I took a bite and said, that's the best fudge I ever ate in my life. She said, do you like fudge? And I didn't really like it that much, but it was good, I said, yeah, I'll eat it, a couple pieces. This woman made me like a 2-pound brick of it like every other couple days. I had like 30 pounds of frozen fudge in my freezer for like 3 years. I was just giving it away to people. They're like, where do you keep coming up with this? I'm like, she just keeps making it. I don't know what to do.
Right.
But it was so good. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, life is funny that way. It just handed me like 50 grandmas at once. And I was like, I love this. I got all the love.
Yes. No, that's so awesome, man. Life really is crazy like that, And that's one of the things too is that, with us being in this society where we're kind of, all split apart in certain different senses, right? You know what I mean? Like it used to be just like, it used to just be community living, and everybody would have access to, like grandmas like that to be doing that. And so now you have to kind of access certain people in a different way. You know what I'm saying?
That's very true that you say that. Yeah, like we used to have like that community, everybody raising everybody, and now it's very separated out. And so like, yeah, very different in that sense. So.
But HR, so what were you doing with HR?
Well, I started out as a driver. I was just, helping move people from one spot to the other. But then as I was doing that, like, I had to transport everybody from the nicest people to some of the more aggressive, like, because people have behavioral problems. They get older, they get to losing this stuff. And so, I had to drive everybody. And they were so slick, they didn't bother to tell me about the people that could lose it on there. They just put them on the bus. And so I'm driving along, and I know somebody's, throwing stuff or trying to hit somebody. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I had to pull over and talk them down, and be like, hey, like, what are we doing? Like, let the lady go. Not really, but, that kind of thing that, like, hey, why don't you let everybody go? Chill out. Don't hit nobody else. What's the problem?
Right.
I sit down and talk with them until they were calm and cool. And then, eventually, hopefully even get them laughing and be like, all right, bro, well, we got this. Well, we're going to get you home then. We're going to be all right? All right, let's sit down. Let's do this. And, we get there. And they're hearing all this on the radio, and they were like, you just talked down like some of our most aggressive clients, like it was second nature. I said, I deal with people like that all the time. It's cool. Like, you just have to relate to them. And like, I said, you ever want to come work inside, let us know. And so I started working inside a little bit more, and then that's when I started hanging out with people inside doing day program stuff. And then eventually, more so, they were like, hey, so we got somebody over here who's just like beating the hell out of everybody. You want to talk to them for a little bit? I'm like, yeah. And at the time I had this huge beard, way bigger than mine now, and dreadlocks down to like my knees. Yeah, I was like Rasta, like full on Rasta. Like had my whole gig going down, and like, so I come walking in the room with these big dreads and this big beard, and I'm like, what's the problem? It didn't matter who you were. Most people would just be sit down, like, I ain't got no problem. I'm like, no. I'm not here to tell you what's going on. I'm here to listen. Like, what's going on? Why are you mad?
Right.
And they're like, you want to know? I'm like, yeah, so I'm here. Tell me everything, and we're going to figure out why you're mad, what started it, and what we can do to change it. Oh, okay. And so, yeah, we started, more and more doing work like that. And eventually it went from working with like groups to just being a one-on-one with, I had like certain clients who I just worked with all the time, and to try to, figure out where the root of their problem was, how the behavior started, and how we can change it, and like some of the most rewarding work I've ever done, honestly. I had a guy who, I'd never been ragdolled in my life. I was a 250, 270-pound man at the time. Big guy myself. This dude was sitting in a wheelchair. He went and held my left hand. I'm standing on the left side of him. This is like, I got to know him. It was like day 4 of getting to hang out with this guy. Nobody told me nothing really about him except he was deaf and mute and couldn't walk. I'm standing with him at a bus stop. He reaches over with his right hand, or with his left hand, to hold my left hand. And I'm like, oh, man, we bonding right now. That's cool. Like, I was like, what's up, brother? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm cool with you. Like, can't wait to hang out and get to know you. Next thing I know, my feet hit me in the back of this head. This dude took me, said, bam, bam, one side of the wheelchair to the other, just with one hand.
Whoa.
I've never been ragdolled in my life. Like, I'm pretty sure I kicked myself in the back of the head at least twice in this process. And then he just dropped me on the side of the wheelchair and sat there just laughing. And people at the bus stop said, you okay? I don't know what just happened. They said, you just, God, I was like, he just ragdolled me. Some guy said, yeah, you just got ragdolled hard. I said, I'd never had that happen in my life. I don't even know, like, and we're only like, the center that we worked at was like, 100 feet away. I was just walked out the building and standing at the bus stop with this guy, and he just beat me to, I was like, whoa. Went back in, and they said, you okay? I said, no, I've never been beat like that in my whole life. And they said, oh, yeah, he could be a little aggressive. I said, a little aggressive? Jesus. I've never been. And it was lessons like that. But in the end, I spent, I think, like 2 years with this guy. And in the end, he was walking on his own, no wheelchair. He had learned sign language to say please and be nice. Like, because he used to be, when I first met him, he was like very food oriented. And if he's had food, it was his.
Mm-hmm.
If you had food, it was his. And if you were within arm's reach, anything you had food-wise was his. And he took it like a mean, he was like an angry orangutan gorilla monster thing. Like, he reached for you and pulled his stuff in like there was no stopping him. So he couldn't eat with everybody and, like, hang out with everybody. And so they were like, we want him to be... Like, if you were just, like, walking through the mall with him and he was in a wheelchair, you saw somebody eating at a table, he would die for it.
Oh,
like,
dang.
Yeah, he was aggressive. So, you know, all this I learned, you know, as we were going. So, in the end, though, like I said, he was calm as could be. Like, we could go out, eat lunch with folks. Like, I could open up his lunch, you know, he'd eat by himself, all this good stuff. And, like, so...
That's amazing work, man.
Yeah, so I thought, you know, like, that's what it's about, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And like I was telling somebody actually the other day, like, I love tattooing. It's amazing. It's changed my life in so many positive ways. But it doesn't allow me the same gratification, I guess you would say, as like teaching somebody to take care of themselves. Like one of my best stories or my greatest accomplishments, not only that guy with the wheelchair, but another man who wanted to like go out and get a job. And so in order to do that, being disabled as he was, like, he couldn't tie his own shoes, he couldn't button his own shirt, he couldn't brush his own teeth. So we had to start from step one. I said, for step one, you get up in the morning to go for a job, you got to get cleaned up. So we taught him to brush his teeth, you know, like how to do this, how to tie a shoe. He learned it. Once he picked it up, he, you know, was pumped on that. And that gave him the confidence to keep learning more and more. And I tell people that. For me, to teach a guy to button his shirt and brush his teeth, it's not a big thing in the world. Like, we teach kids to do that every day. But to give this man his freedom like that, this independence, to start doing what he wanted to do in life, that's beautiful to me, you know?
That's
like,
amazing.
Yeah, it's a little thing. It's not much of anything at all, but to him it was huge. To me, it was huge for that reason. So, like, that kind of stuff, like, you know, you don't get that kind of... It's not the same with tattooing in that sense, you know. Like, I've definitely changed some lives, and, like, you know, like the other day, tattooing. I tattooed a woman who was 84 years old.
Oh, wow.
That's my oldest client I've ever had. 84 years old. This woman, I would have thought she was in her 50s. Like, she was spry as could be. She was a beautiful, wonderful lady. Incredible. Tattooed her sternum. Big old dragonfly.
Oh, wow.
In color. She sat through it perfectly.
Oh, wow.
When she came in, she's a little, you know, she's a little thicker lady, so she was like, oh, is there a private booth? And I'm like, nah, our shop is just, you know, the one here in NorCal. NorCal Tattoo is just open shop, you know, so no. So I said, I could put a screen up, but everybody's still going to be able to see you on this side, you know? She said, nah, don't worry about it. So she put her shirt up, started doing the work. She got up in the mirror halfway through to look at it. Already saw a difference in her confidence level. She's walking around with that shirt pulled up to over her sternum, like, yeah. Everybody who walked by, she said, you want to see my cool tattoo? You want to see what I did? And she walked down to, I think it was a Wild Berry. She told me a little while later to get something to drink. Came back and bring me some cookies. By the way, I love cookies. So she brought me some cookies. And she said, you know what I noticed? And I said, what? She said, I got into Wild Berries. And she's like, I'm 84. I don't have a whole lot of friends that are still around, you know? I said, oh, yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, you got me. She said, yeah, but I'm walking around. And she's like, and I'm looking at my phone thinking, who can I call? Who in town can I show this to? She's like, I just wanted to pull my shirt up to everybody. She's like, my whole life, I've never been a person to, like, flash anybody, any part of my body. Like, she's like, I'm very, like, you know, not conservative, but, you know, I'm not like that. So she said, I walked around Wild Berries and I looked at every person there and said, do you want to see a cool tattoo? Anybody who said yes, she said, I flashed in my belly.
Yeah.
No shame whatsoever. And I was like,
Heck
that's what
yeah.
I'm talking about. The confidence level at 84, this woman learned a whole new level of confidence. Like,
Right.
That's inspiring to me, you know? Like,
Absolutely.
I'm about to turn 50 and feeling tired and like, man, life is rough. And then I see this and I'm like, it ain't that bad, man.
Yeah, you know.
It ain't the greatest it's ever been, but it's far from the worst it'll ever be. So
That's right. That's exactly right. Hey, brother, that's a perfect segue, too. So let me do this. So I'm going to pay the bills real quick for the underwriters of the show, and we're going to do the station identifier because we within 5 minutes of the top of the hour. From Playhouse Arts, this is KHHALP Arcata 94.7 FM, community forward radio broadcasting from the heart of the Creamery District in Arcata. And so Brother Dre here was just talking about Wild Berries. Wild Berries is a big time underwriter and financial supporter of Humboldt Hot Air. And so let me make sure I get over to Uh-oh, did they? Every now and then they close the windows on us here, and so here we go. I got it right here. We're gonna get the Wild Berries copy right here, and then get it on the radio form. Boom, here we go. And so support comes from Wild Berries Marketplace, home of the Wild Platter Cafe and Wild Nectar Juice Bar. Wild Berries offers a variety of options for in-store shopping of natural, organic, and conventional products. Also available online for curbside pickup and delivery. Wild Berries Marketplace, top of the hill G Street Arcata, open 6 a.m. to midnight daily. Well, that was a perfect segue to Wild Berries, man. Let me tell you what. We got two more underwriters. Let me get the bills out of the way here. We got Native Ecosystem. Support for Humboldt Hot Air comes from Native Ecosystems, a full-service ecological restoration and environmental consulting firm based in Arcata. Their experienced team of biologists and restoration practitioners can help with restoration projects, big or small, from the river to the ridge. For more information, you can visit nat-eco.net or call 707-599-7814. And last but absolutely not least, we got Six Rivers Solar. Support for Humboldt Hot Air comes from Six Rivers Solar, a solar company with 40 years of experience working on North Coast sustainability and renewables projects. Six Rivers Solar is happy to meet your residential, commercial, and off-grid solar needs, as well as solar battery storage and microgrids. For more information on how to start your solar journey, call 707-414-8359 or visit them on the web at sixriverssolar.com. And now we have all the bills paid for the rest of the show. We just get to kick back and continue to talk about what you've been up to out here. And also, we just did that Wild Berries copy talking about the natural, organic, and conventional products. And every now and then, you're going to have a nice 84-year-old woman cruising through Wild Berries with a dope tattoo from my homie Dre here, or maybe not even 84 years old, anybody, because the North Cal tattoos, I feel like we're jumping to get to North Cal Tattoo, but they're just right up the block from Wild Berries.
1618 G Street.
Yes.
Yes.
Shout out to the homie Ted.
Ted Marks, the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
My boy.
I actually, interestingly, Ted used to be my neighbor years ago, and if he saw me, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember you, bro. Like you the homie when your house got broken into. I went over Ted's house because Ted had a camera looking exactly at the window, and we watched the video of some suckers go through the bathroom window, bust in my bathroom window, and break into my house, and that was Ted, the homie Ted Marks. I remember his dogs. I remember his lady. Shout out to Amy, right? Amy,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Those are cool people, bro, for real.
Some of the best people I know around here, to be honest with you, man. They're good family. They've been real good to me. Like they spoil the hell out of me, man. Like,
yeah,
big time.
And that's a sign of a good employer and friend.
Oh yeah, he's big time family, man. Like that guy Ted, he just as far as I've ever known, he just wants to see everybody come up. Like he real chill about it. Like he's down to help you out if you need help. If you burn him, you ain't gonna be a happy person. He ain't gonna deal with you anymore. Ted's strict like that. He don't play around. Like that man is.
Right.
He's one of the more honest people I ever met out here. He tells you like it is, and he tells it when he's feeling it. Like yeah, I never worry about how Ted's feeling or if there's anything going on like that I don't know about, because Ted will tell you.
Yep. No, absolutely. And he comes from the Marks family, and so shout out, rest in peace,
yes.
Roy Marks, his dad.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a good family around here, yeah, and like working at NorCal with his family, like that's his son works there, his daughter works there, his wife works there, his little niece or his granddaughter's there, like she works there, aka pseudo, like she runs the front, she runs the place. She knows she's gonna be the owner one day, so she runs it like she does. She's 7 years old, but she runs it like a boss.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful family spot up there working with those guys. Yeah,
definitely. And what's kind of a trip is, we just loop back to how we first met was the Fat Bowl Cypher. They are now in what used to be Fat Bowl's store.
It's that small world, little Humboldt community like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and North Cal Tattoo though. See, Ted and Amy been doing it for a while. I remember before that spot, they were just right around the corner from it used to be Jaffe's and the Redwood ice cream store and all that, little like right there on that block. It used to be right there, and then now they moved it to what used to be the Fat Bowl store, a bigger spot, bigger storefront, bigger area and everything like that. For the chairs and everything like that.
Yeah, I think it's not actually too much bigger square footage wise. It just doesn't have a million walls blocking it up. It's just a big, nice open space. Yeah, they designed it really nice, super open. Just and then back and forth talk between us in there. You definitely couldn't put it on the radio.
Right. Right. No, absolutely not. That's shop talk. That's shop talk. Is that and no trip if it's not. And I'm I hope I'm not bringing up a sore spot. Obviously, it shouldn't be. But is that mural that Chris Demise did still over in the corner?
Yes, it is. Oh yeah. They kept. That's the only mural that got kept in there was that little spot that he put in the corner there.
Yep.
Yeah, I recognize that right off the top of watching. I said, yeah, you kept Demise piece in there. I find it always not surprising, but at the same time, I'll go places and I'll see an old Demise piece, and it's the only piece left up in the place, and the rest of it's repainted. And his pieces, no matter where he puts them, they stay. Like, graffiti artists can't touch them. Like, I don't know anybody in town who can legitimately go over his work and say, like, by the rules of graffiti, like, I actually outdid him. Like, good luck.
Right, 100%. And Demise stays constant to this day, bro. You saw that, I'm just jumping around real quick, but, you see that snacks thing he did?
Yeah, his what he's doing at that casino is, like, man, the work he's putting in there is just phenomenal. Like,
right.
Yeah, every time I've gotten to work with that guy, it's been phenomenally, like, a hardcore learning experience, and to watch him do what he does, and then like, I'm trying to figure out how to get this can to do something. He walks over, takes it, and goes like that, and hands it back to you. And I'm like, man.
Right. And some of those pieces, too, because we're talking Bear River, right?
Yeah.
So, and some of those pieces, one of them, it was him and Lobo. They both did, right?
They rocked out, they think they were doing like a bowling alley or something like that. Yeah. They did the theme around that, yeah.
See, I love that Bear River's doing that. That's combining the culture, hip-hop culture, graffiti art culture, which is a big culture.
Supporting it financially, not just asking for, like, for exposure, like a lot of people want.
Right.
They paying them, and, like, they're getting good work out of it. It's awesome to see them putting that together for so many people that come through there to see that style of art. Like,
and the kids will enjoy it. They'll grow up with a connotation that graffiti is actually a beautiful art form, and then get them to delve into the different facets of what it all means. And then you learn, okay, like you were just talking about, like, if you're gonna go over somebody's piece, it has to be better. You know what I'm saying? And you just, like, tagging over somebody's piece or something like that straight up disrespect the whole all the different parts of the culture. Like, they'll learn.
Yeah, that took me a minute to get all that down when they were, when I first got there. Myself, I'm like, literally, I just told them, I'm just an artist. I don't have a name that I go by. I don't, like, tag letters. I don't really do lettering. I just do, like, images, and then they do the lettering around it, so it looks like all one cohesive thing. And, like, that's how we got, that's how I got by. To all the graffiti artists out there, I'm not trying to pretend to be y'all.
Bro, you in it though.
Just doing some work, and so but. So to get to work with those guys, and, like, to with Demise, and to see the lettering styles he throws down and stuff, and to try to keep up with that, man, and, like, to get thrown in with those guys as a beginner, like, I had to really be on my game. Like,
But you got the talent, though. You got the skills, bro. Because let me tell you what, I want to loop back to maybe go a few years back before we jump forward too. But because both you and Lobo and Demise supported the recent Palestine events that I organized last year. You know what I'm saying? Y'all brought your art. You were doing live airbrushing at the Redwood Retro. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, y'all all came through and with your art made these beautiful pieces, provided these beautiful pieces that ended up going to help feed starving and needy families in Gaza. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, like, some of the dopest things, and that's what hip hop is, really, is, like, that support. Like, hip hop is that. I just saw recently on a separate note, shout out to the homie Two Tank. They just did that spaghetti feed. Was you down? Did you go down there?
No, I didn't get a chance to get that. I was working at the time, but I got to see that. That was what, Two Tank, Sequoia,
Cam's Dope, Eli Fowler, Knack.
Knack one. Yeah, this is a good crew down there. Those guys got a good show. I was like, I didn't get to get down there because I was working up here at the time, and, like, the last month or so has been, like, just crazy tattooing. So, like, I'm loving it, man. Just busy as can be. But
heck yeah,
I've been missing shows though. Like, I missed the Greaves show. I missed that show. I missed, like, a few shows now because I just been grinding. I'm like,
we got to make our money in this world too. You know what I'm saying? And if Yeah, if there's money out there, we can't leave it on the table.
No.
You know.
Nowadays, you get it while you can. I hate to be sounding greedy like that, but yeah, you
it ain't even greedy when we make it. When we trying to make it, it's to live and survive. You know what I'm saying?
Nowadays, I hear somebody say survival is a flex these days.
Right.
It's true that, man. It's been crazy.
It's like every day is a struggle for everybody unless you in a certain situation. You know what I'm saying? Every day you got to.
Fortunate enough to not have to worry about money right now. Blessings to you, but
right, count those blessings.
But the rest of us, we got grind.
Exactly, especially, and that's one of the doper things that I thought about a few minutes ago was you have Humboldt County fosters art in a way that actually lets artists potentially live off it, which doesn't happen everywhere. You go places where it's more concrete, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not, you know what I'm saying? You will find, obviously, there will be tattoo parlors. There's going to be, places where art, happens and galleries where people can sell things and art exists. Art exists everywhere, but it's a matter of Humboldt County. There's really a lot of money that, is spent on art, and there's a lot of money that comes in, whether it's government or otherwise, to support art. And so art is really like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the model because art, bro, is just as important as any other profession, bro. It don't matter what it is. Art is so important on so many levels. Art is important to resistance. Art is important to inspiration, just for kids to be able to get, it's important for de-stressing. It's important for it's a way to learn things in a different method than not everybody's cut out to be like a accountant or a computer programmer. You know what I'm saying? Like art is a way to learn, and there's certain people that have it in their blood. And and this world, this country, capitalism, it doesn't foster it.
No, not necessarily, but yeah, I definitely feel that they've been killing the arts for a while, especially like visual arts, musical arts, anything that would inspire people to be more of themselves.
Right.
But yeah, you were talking about art is everything in this world, and not necessarily what people do always is art, creatively, but a lot of times in the way they do it is art.
100%.
Yeah, so doctors out there wouldn't consider themselves artists, but a surgeon, in my opinion, they're one of the finest artists there is out there. One of the most delicate hands there are. That is an art that they're getting down on right there. They studied forever to learn to be that good at that art.
Right.
And like any other art, the more you study it, the better you get at it. The smoother it looks, the more easy it looks. But if any of us was to try that stuff, probably wouldn't go so well.
Right. No, 100%. And then now we're crossing over to, and I don't want to, because we still got another about 45 minutes to go. I don't want to jump to something that I probably end up talking about later on in the show if I even get to it. I could be going off on diatribes with it. But now we got, basically AI and robots trying to step in on so many different levels, whether it's art, like we were talking about, visual art, or even that surgery like you talking about. They got robots doing the surgery now.
Yes.
They got robots stealing art, AI stealing people's whole. You pump in a bunch of. I mean, it's done it. That's what Open AI has gone through, looked at and pulled from the internet and anywhere it can get it, everybody's art, and so it knows the specifics of your pattern. You know what I'm saying? We know, you and I both know, we know Demise and we know his work, and we know some of the things about. I'm not the best person to explain it, but we see when you see a piece that's a Demise piece, you can tell. If you know his art, you can tell.
His essence in it, 100%.
Right, exactly, right. And see, these suckers, and it's not even just these people, but the AI has learned it. And you could probably tell AI, pump in, do deep research on Chris Demise, and then it'll look at all his art, and then pump me out something. It's stealing the essence. And it's so crazy. But I don't want to jump to that. That's a whole nother conversation. You know what I'm saying? But here in Humboldt County, the art is fostered, and I think that that people know that, and I feel like, because just on a separate little note, again, was talking about a little bit about this AI thing. Like, I just saw recently in the Humboldt Foodies group on Facebook. That's a group where everybody, they talk about like restaurants. They talk about, I'm seeing people post pictures of them eating in different spots and everything like that. They talk about, it's all about food, because people are about their food around here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big thing. And like, they just took a vote talking about, and it was like a 97% vote that said no using AI pictures of like your restaurants. Because suckers around here, bro, they were like using AI to make pictures of their restaurant, and it didn't even look like their restaurant.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, and then everybody voted against it. Like, no, like, if your restaurant looks good, like, which it needs to look good if you want to be inviting and bring people in, like, take a picture of your restaurant or take a picture of the food.
Otherwise, it's false advertisement all the way around.
100%, and so it's so interesting, like, you know what I'm saying? But that again brings it back to another art. Like, cooking is an art.
Oh man, cooking is an amazing art. Like, Goldilocks.
Shout out to Goldie.
Amazing chef. That dude can cook. If you ever get a chance to eat some of Goldilocks food, you are a fortunate person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to eat some of his food more than a few times and always been impressed. But to me, like when a chef gives you something that says taste this, and you taste it in succession, like certain flavors hit you at a certain time, and they tell you should taste this, and then it should move to this, and then this, and this. How do you make something that's all over my mouth only show up as like that? Is magic.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm a fat boy. I love my food.
Hey.
And I don't know how it's made all the time, but I know it's good. Like,
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Like, when cooks can do that, it blows my mind that they can make food do that, and then mixing textures and flavors, and yeah, that's a whole beautiful art in itself.
1,000%. And it's interesting too, because take it back to like 2,000 years ago in like the Roman times, like the few people that would be like protected no matter what, because that was volatile times, humanity 2,000 years ago, what I'm saying?
Way too far off from today.
Right, exactly, right?
But,
but like 2,000 years ago, if you were a chef, like those were the most revered people in regular society, other than like, what I'm saying? Like, okay, so you had the aristocracy, the politicians, all the people that's running things, whatever it is. But when it came to just the regular people, the chefs were considered the most important people, because not everybody could cook.
Yeah, and you gotta feed, even everybody's gotta eat.
Right.
And not everybody wants to eat bad food, so if you can cook, you definitely looked after.
You got value, and you still do have value. We got, Michelin star level, what I'm saying? Like, there's like, people know, and that's why Humboldt Foodies is so big, is because like food is, what I'm saying, one of the pleasures where even if you work in a dead-end job and you got a lot of problems in your life and things like that, as long as you actually still have some kind of money from hopefully even that working that dead-end job to buy yourself some good food.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
It does.
It makes soul food is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Soul food is a real thing.
Yep.
Speaking of, and they're not around anymore, but I don't know if you remember Bless My Soul
Cafe. 100%.
Man, I miss that place so much.
Yeah.
Such good food there.
That was shoot.
Sweet Mama Janice.
Sweet Mama Janice.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
And her soul, she had the sauce, her soul cue sauce.
Yeah.
You remember that? Bro, oh, yes, man.
The only place around here I've ever been so far that's ever had frog legs.
Oh, yeah.
She used to serve the deep fried frog legs, honey glazed. Like, oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
She had me by the heart and the stomach, no problem.
Yeah, yep. And she ran the Bless My Soul Cafe for quite a few years, and which is hard in Humboldt County.
Yeah. But that was like, after eating a meal there, you just felt so uplifted and so good. I took a few of my friends here who have some friends from like South Carolina and all this kind of thing. We eat that good stuff and been up here and can't find none of that good stuff. And I said, well, try this and see if it matches up to you. They was floating afterwards. They had nothing but good things to say. So yeah, it's that, food makes a difference. And like, yeah, it doesn't matter how broke you are and all that stuff. If you save up, if food makes the difference, you save up and get that one good meal, it makes you able to make it to the next day, kind of thing.
That's exactly right. You get those endorphins flowing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what food can do.
Yeah.
It's a powerful art. Just like visual art. You know what I'm saying? And so that's so cool, man. So now taking it back to where were we in the timeline of things? Let me think. Okay, so now we jumped to you working at NorCal Tattoo, but before NorCal Tattoo, you were with the Sanga Studio.
No. I've never been with Sanga Studio.
Oh, my bad.
No,
I'm tripping then.
No, I've never worked with those guys. So like, you want to hear like the rough version of my like tattoo history?
Yeah.
So, starts about 20 years ago. I was working with the crew from the Accident Gallery and all that stuff, still doing all that stuff, still trying to be still want to be a fine artist. Like, still struggling this day to be a fine artist. Like, I want to sell my paintings and like make a living that way. But, so I was working with the Accident Gallery and going around trying to find shows for us and get places, and all that kind of stuff. And there was Ellis Art on the corner of the 5th Street and out there in 101 in Eureka. Love Ellis Art, by the way. If you got art stuff, go to Ellis.
Yeah.
And so I go there all the time because, my friend Jeremy worked there and like everybody, like that's my crew worked there, my friends. So I want to support the business, support Daryl and everybody who owned it, all that kind of good stuff. And right next door, there was a tattoo shop. They had these big giant walls, and I did big giant charcoal paintings. So I went over there and said, "Hey, did you guys ever let me do a show here?" And the guy said, "Let me see your work." Showed it to him. He said, it was all Japanese style stuff, like demons and like crazy oni and all this stuff. He said, "Man, I love your work. You ever thought about tattooing?" I said, "No, never. I do not want to be a tattoo artist. No, that stuff's scary." I'll tell you why that's scary in another little segment. But so I was like, "No, I'm cool, man. Like, not my thing." And so every time I went to Ellis to get stuff, which was like almost daily because I was trying to do, be an artist, so I'm going to get the art supplies. Every time I saw him, he was out there smoking a cigarette. "When you coming in? When you come learn? When you come learn?" This was like a year of him doing this. Every time I saw him, like, it didn't matter where I saw him in town, he bugged me. "Come on, when you come learn?" Finally, I said, "What do I got to do to learn?" He said, "You come work for me." I said, "Cool. How much I get paid?" He said, "Nothing. You're an apprentice." So at the time, I was working for H-Car, so I just kept that job, did that full-time, and still did my apprenticeship with him. Got into tattooing there. This was a shop called Instant Gratification that was on 5th and E back in the day. And so I'm working for him. Started off as the apprentice. Wasn't too long later, like I think it was like 3 or 4 months later, real short apprenticeship. He fired my mentor. It was just like, "You're beyond him already. So let's get rid of him. We're going to throw you in the main driver's seat. And by the way, you're also going to run my shop and everything else while I go do other stuff." And I was like, "Whoa." I'm like 4 months in, maybe. Like,
that's crazy.
I was like, "And you fired my mentor. Like, that's my boy. Like, that's my." He's like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, we haven't fired him yet, but we're going to let him know he don't work here." I'm like,
"Oh,
you want me to tell him?" I'm like, "It's gonna be Christmas." He said, "I know he's gonna go on Christmas vacation, so when he gets back, let him know." I'm like, "You gonna fire him after Christmas and you gonna have me do it?" "Nah, man." I'm like, "I can't do it." So it happened anyway. They fired him. I started working for them. Spent about 1.5 years, 2 years with that guy, and it went south. Like, he just started trying to burn me every chance that he get. He didn't want to pay me and stuff, because back then, you do so much work. You put it all in the box at the end of the week. They count it all up, and they give you your cut. Well, he kept being like, "Hey, man, times are tough. It's cool if, like, I give you your cut next week, and I'll give you a little extra." And, I was like, all right, I guess so. Well, that kept happening until it just got really big. And so couldn't work with him anymore. Bailed out of there. Went to, and there was some drama with that. Like, it was real sour for a little bit.
And that was the spot that was like a few doors down from Savage Henry.
Yeah. It was a Red Fox at the time, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I worked a night shift there, like, from, like, 6 o'clock in the afternoon until, like, 2 in the morning. Got all the drunks and the crazy people. Man, got some stories from that shop.
Oh, I bet. Street
shop as it got, old school. Couldn't turn anybody away. Like, the boss was like, "Nobody gets turned away." I'm like, "What if they're drunk as can be?" He said, I don't care. Like, you tattoo them. If they're of age and they got money. I'm like, man, this is a dirty business. And so, yeah, it was crazy. It was fun, but crazy. Definitely a learning experience. And like I said, it didn't work out there very well. So left that shop. Went to Ink Addiction over by Myrtle Avenue in the Myrtlewood Lounge.
Yeah.
And met up with those guys there. Asked them, "Hey, is it cool, like, come up in this place for a little bit?" And they were really cool. They were all actually, I didn't know this at the time, but they were all kind of like a new crew in themselves. Like, there was an established shop, but the owner of it was on his way out. And that guy was like this crazy, like, white pride Nazi guy. He was like well-known, like, white pride Nazi guy. So people were like, "You went into that shop?" And that's a Nazi shop. And I said, "I didn't see any Nazis when I went in there." And said, "Yeah, the owner's like super white pride." I said, "I never met him. I met everybody else." And then, like, he was on his way out, so he didn't really care, like, what I was doing there. And So the guys that just took over, James Kerr, who I actually work with now, he took over that shop and kind of changed the whole vibe of it. He said, yeah, come on in, man. And I didn't realize he was just out of his apprenticeship and was just learning to, he was the same amount of time that I had.
Oh, wow.
And so then he was taking over a shop. I didn't know this all the time. I thought he'd been in it for a while, So I'm like, yeah, these guys are old cats. They've been in it for a while. I'm going to learn from them. Come to find out we all been in it the same amount of time. But everybody thought everybody been around for a while. So we just, trying to play it cool, but at the same time be like, teach me something. But we didn't know nothing.
Right. Oh, wow.
So I worked with them for a while. That was a really fun crew, man. A crazy crew there. Like, yeah, we had a real good time. A bunch of young cats, just tattooing all day long, every day. Like, we put in hours in that place. We had such a blast there. Learned a lot. Worked with some crazy people, like some shady people to, like, super high-end, cool. Like, yeah, it was a crazy mix there. But some of the funnest times I've ever had. Like, we partied, but we got work done, too. Like, we'd be putting in hours at that place. And then when we were done, take that handful of cash, walk over to the Myrtle Lounge and just basically hand it to them. And they just fill up a bucket full of alcohol and we just get drunk. Like,
yeah, heck yeah.
So there was that for a little while.
That was in that same plaza where Sal's Myrtlewood Lounge is and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's the Global or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the same shop. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's the same building. So, like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, their main office, I walked in there the first time that they opened up. I said, I used to tattoo in your little office.
Right.
You can still see my ink on the wall. So I worked with them for a little while. And in between that, I was, like, traveling. I was learning the convention circuit. So I was traveling, like, all over the country doing conventions with people and learning and all that kind of stuff. And there was a Skinsignia tattoo was still around at the time. Those respect to those guys. Those guys were the old cats. Like,
yeah,
they were the top end in Humboldt County at the time. And like, like all the best work there. Like Henry Kruger, Sean Arneson, like, just the crew of the best around. And like, so, that was the spot. And they were way above me, like way beyond my level of tattooing. Like they were like, super next level. The owner, though, I went over there like as a young, I say youngster, but a youngster in tattooing. I was like 30 at the time when I started. And so I go over there as an apprentice, and me not knowing any of the etiquette of tattooing, like I didn't know you weren't allowed to go visit other shops. Like that was real taboo for an artist from one shop to go hang out at another shop. Usually if you did that, that meant you were about to jump ship.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea about this. I'm an artist that works with art collaboratives, so I'm used to working with tons of people, and the more the better. So that was my mentality. So I started going over there, and they were nice enough to be cool about it.
Skinsignia.
Yeah. Like Henry Kruger, like he had this reputation, I didn't know this at the time, of being a real hard ass about tattooing and like very gatekeeper and like, get out my space. He was as nice as could be to me. He like, I came over, hang out. He never was rude. None of the guys there ever were rude to me. They were super open and really like, like, hey, come on in. What are you doing here? And I was like, I told him straight out. I didn't know any different. I was like, I'm an apprentice and I'm at this old shop over here. I just wanted to come and learn if possible. Okay. Sit down, shut up. Like if you got a question to ask, just don't ask stupid questions. So that's easy enough. I'm just going to sit here and watch. So yeah, they would let me, on Sundays, my one day off, I'd go hang out over there. And so, having a great time, like learning from them. And had no idea that it was a taboo thing. I go back to my other shop. He's like, what'd you do this weekend? I was like, oh, I actually was hanging out at Skinsignia. He's like, yeah, that's what I heard. I was like, yeah, they're really cool guys. And so I go to lunch, come back. All my stuff is in a box.
Oh,
and I'm
dang.
Like,
they was serious about it.
Yeah, I was like, what's this? What's going on? And he says, I know what you're doing. You're about to jump shit. Get the hell out of here. And I was like, no, and this is before I like moved to Ink Dictionary. This is like, still in my apprenticeship days. And so I was just like, no, I'm not jumping ship. They're just nice enough to teach me. And, he said, people don't teach in this industry. And I said, if you're nice, I guess so. Like, he said, oh, they're probably showing you how to do it wrong. And I said, he's working on someone doing this most immaculate, like Japanese dragon sleeve I've ever seen. I don't think he would do it wrong just to spite me. Like, I don't think so. Like, and that, it looked amazing. If he's doing it wrong and this came out that nice, and I don't even want to know right.
Right.
Like, yeah, so yeah, I, was hanging out with those guys for a little bit in the beginning. Later on, went back there to hang out again, and the owner, Sean, says, you ever think about working with us? And I said, I would be more than honored to work with you guys, like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he offered me a job there, so I worked with Skinsignia for a little while. I was probably like 3 or 4 years in at that point. and started working with them. And like, yeah, they were a big level jump for me because again, working with Aaron, I can't remember his last name now, and Henry, Sean, and all these legends in tattooing locally here, and like their game was huge even then, and so I was just like, whoa, I'm in the big dogs, I'm in the big stadium, and
Heck yeah.
worked with them for a little while. Did about a year and a half, 2 years with them, and then they closed down that shop. And then the owner's son, Mike, and myself, we went off on our own and opened up, because when they shut Skin Signia down, Sailor's Grave opened up with Henry, and then I want to say somebody else opened up, and like everybody split and opened up shops in different places. A couple guys went up to Oregon and worked up there, and so yeah, they're huge up there now too, and so everybody kind of split off, and me and Mike went off and opened up Primate Tattoo right next to the Denny's. We were right across from Denny's, that little bar. It used to be a barber shop right there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was cool for a little bit, and love and respect to Mike, but we did not mix as working. Like, we had very different upbringings. He was very, what's the word to say, privileged in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I was not, and so that privileged attitude really got to me in a lot of ways, and so yeah, we didn't click, needless to say, and before it turned into a physical, like, beat him down kind of thing, we just went our own ways. And then from there, I opened up my own spot, which is I've been with ever since, is the Lullaby Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had Lullaby Lounge tattoo ever since, I don't know, it's been like 16 years, 17 years I've been running with that. Had the spot over by, right across from the hospital and next to Stars Burger on Harrison.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had my spot there for about 9 years.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then they sold that building, and I bought a house a couple blocks down on Dolbeer, stripped it down, and turned it into a tattoo shop and an art gallery, and that's where I do a lot of my oil painting and art stuff. And then I also have two booths there for as well. And then right before COVID hit, I had done this, like all this had been stripped down. I bought that new house, turned it all into this really nice spot because I'd been traveling a lot, so I was meeting people from everywhere, and they wanted to come to Humboldt. So I set this place up with the 2 rooms to tattoo out of, plus a spare bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, so they'd have a place to stay while they were in town.
Oh, smart.
And then, I had it all pimped out, set up, booked out for 2 years. COVID hit a month later.
Oh, man.
Yeah, crushed everything, man. It was rough. So, nobody could travel. And that was a couple of years worth of that. And so, everything came to a slow crawl, tattoo-wise. You couldn't even legally tattoo for, 6 months. It was, 6 or 7 months. So, if you got caught tattooing, they basically behead you in front of the public and make us a spectacle of you. So, yeah, there was no tattooing. Money was tough. That's how I make my living daily, is by tattooing. So when they were no tattooing, I'm like, I'm about to get real skinny. I'm about to start learning to eat squirrel or something. It was going to get rough, So, yeah, they shut it all down. And so, I couldn't have people come through like they were supposed to. And, generally, we've just been recovering ever since.
Right.
And then not too long later, NorCal Tattoo, I've known those guys since I started tattooing. We've been friends here and there. We didn't used to hang out a whole lot, but we knew of each other. And me and Ted, we've never had any issues with one another. I remember when I was first started tattooing, he said, "Oh, this guy over here, he's talking about your work." And I said, "Who's that?" "Oh, Ted." I said, "Yeah, I know Ted." "Yeah, he was dissing on your work." "I don't believe you." "I'm gonna call him and ask him." "What?" "Yeah, I'm gonna call him and ask him." "Oh, you ain't gotta do that." I said, I know Ted enough to know that if he didn't like something about me, he'll tell you. He don't beat around the bush. That man's very honest. So, yeah, people, I'm don't try to pit us against each other like that. Chill out on that stuff.
People be like that, man. That's crazy.
Or, oh, Ted said whatever you do, you do half price. Cool. Let me call him real quick and let him know that I'm doing this for Oh, you don't got to call him. So you're lying. That's why. Don't ever try to pit us against each other like that. We'll call each other and ask. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then, so again, we've known each other for a long time. And they've offered me to come and work with them forever ago. But, I was I'm so focused on just trying to keep my own survival going that I didn't really consider it. And I don't know, last year or two, I've been working by myself at my shop for 10, 15 years, It's cool, but working by yourself, you get very stagnant, in my opinion. You don't have anybody bounce ideas off of, art-wise. It just, sure, doing tattoos and staying steady and making money, but spiritually and, art-wise, not growing. So,
yeah,
came and worked with these guys over here, and, man, I have just been loving it.
Yeah.
We push each other to, get better. critique each other in honest ways, you know, not being mean or nothing, but like yeah, it could be better, you know, like if you did this, did that, you know, not just being like, yeah, it sucks, you know, but like, here's what I would do to fix it. This is what I think could be better, vice versa, you know, like, all right, a minute ago I didn't see what you were talking about, but now I see what you're talking about. I'm going to fix it, change it, get better, you know, like. Yeah, so it's been huge growth over there working with those guys. Like, we feed off each other. Me, James, and Ted, where we call each other on Thursday, we all work together, and we're the only three, and we call it the Jurassic Thursday because like, everybody there is over 50. Yeah, it's just like the old crew then.
Yeah, that's probably the best time to get tattoos because y'all got that OG experience, you know.
Oh, man, I tell people, we got over 150 years experience in here right now, man. You want to hear some stories? You get today is the day.
Yeah, heck yeah. Nah, that's so dope, man. And so now, and you said, so James is there working with y'all at NorCal Tattoo.
Yeah, James,
that's crazy.
Yeah, James, I'm not exactly sure of how the whole story goes, but at one point, I believe he owned the NorCal Tattoo or something like that, or he owned the business license in it or something. I'd have to ask them to get to the whole thing, but either way, like him and Ted were like, he sold it back to Ted. And so Ted, you know, said, well, you know, it's your business still in a sense, so like you're always welcome to work here. And so yeah, they've just been working together. They get along great. They're actually a really good, like, to see them together. It's hilarious. You would think that they were like a couple. Like they call each other. They're like, you know, he's my work wife, he's my work husband. You know, like they literally call each other, and they act like it. Like they take care of each other on that level. It's beautiful to see because like. We're raw with each other, you know, like we're straight up with each other, take care of each other like we are family. Like I love them, they love me. We treat each other like that. So like
Yeah.
the other day, a couple months ago, James has been going through like, you know, quitting nicotine. And James, please don't kill me for telling you a story, but it's funny. So he's quitting going through nicotine, and like it's, you know, he's been smoking for like 20-something years. You know, it's hard to quit. Nicotine's really hard to quit.
Oh yeah.
And so he's having a hard time with it, and finally gets to this point where he's like without it, been without it. You know, we're like proud of him, and he's the whole shop's going through the withdrawals with him. You know, like. Every time he has a fit, anything like we all feel it, you know. So everybody feels it, and we're all going through it. And they've been going through it for years longer than I do. You know, I've been just with it for the last like 2 years. They've been with it for like 7 years of him going through this. So like, he goes through it all, gets to the point where he's quit, and then comes in one day, and he's outside, and he goes and lights up a cigarette, and everybody said, "What the heck is going on here?" No. We got on his butt so hard, and he said, "I know, I'm sorry." I said, "No, it's cool. We're just not that proud of you, honestly. Like, you let us down. You broke our hearts, bro. Like, we've all been through this pain and suffering with you, and then you just, to go back, like, all right, like, that's fine, but, and we still love you. But next time you quit, next time you have a bad day with it, don't come to us. I don't want to hear it. Like, we've been through enough of this. Like, we ground him so hard that one day, every chance, you know, shop talk style, like every time he says something, we crack a joke about it. We just grilled him. He hasn't smoked since.
See, there we go. That's the good kind of peer pressure pressuring you to do right.
To do the right thing and to be a better person about it. Yeah, and like we were, you know, we could like big brother rough about it, but at the same time, you know, when he was like, all right, guys, had enough, it's like, hey, we do this because we really love you. Like, I want to see you live as long as possible. I want to see you be as healthy as possible. Like, you're my brother, you're my family. I want to see the best for you. And if it means me being a bit of a meanie to you, I'm going to be that person, you know? Like, I'm going to bully you into being a better you.
That's good. That's family right there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And they do, you know, I do it for them, they do it for me, we do it for each other, and I love that dynamic about the place. So, yeah, shout out to NorCal Tattoo for just being a great family spot. Like,
absolutely. No, absolutely. That's so cool to hear, man. Like, you know, that there's a spot like that, because it doesn't, like you were just talking about, like it doesn't always work, you know, that well with people that are that well enmeshed.
No. But being over there, like I said, it's a family shop, and like I've worked with family before. That is not easy in itself.
Right.
So them, like on multiple dynamical levels, like they blow my mind, and you know, and I tell them all the time, like I admire you guys. Like, one, you work with your wife. You have for like 20 plus years, and you guys do it well. That's not easy. I just tried working with a girlfriend and tried working with friends, and it's hard enough, like let alone family like that, and you know, have a rough day at work and then still go home together and then come back again and do it again and still be together and happy.
Right.
That's amazing, you know. And then on top of that, throw their kids in the mix. They got their son and their daughter who work there, you know. As we call them all the time, Alex and Turtle. we call them Nepo babies, you know? The little Nepo babies, you know, you got everything, you know, but...
Oh, y'all be having jokes down there.
Oh, man, yeah, they're the Nepo babies, but you know what? At the same time, those kids put in some work.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, man, like, Alex apprenticed under his dad. That man, Alex, deserves some kind of a button or a gold award or a cookie or something. That is not easy. Like, Ted's been nice to me, but I've seen the way he can be. You don't play around. Like, to grow up as his son and his apprentice, yeah.
That takes some strength.
Yeah, I give Alex props all the time. I'm like, bro, you strong man. Like,
yeah.
you been some through dirt.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And then their daughter, Turtle, she's a piercer there. Like, she rocks it. She's like the manager. One of the best managers I've ever worked with, man. She knows her business. She's sweet as can be. It's an awesome dynamic there. And you know, again, they're family. So they have their days when they come in and they're just like, "Rrr." But yet they still make it work. And they still make it cool at the shop. And even when they're arguing with each other, we still have fun with it. You know, it's not like, you know, there's no like cussing or like, you know, calling each other names like that or nothing. But that you know, big brother kind of like, you know, picking on each other and like, yeah, it's funny to me. Yeah, we all get along that way and like we work out our problems that way. You know, it's tough love, but it's honest love, you know.
That's right. The world needs more of that.
Yeah, just being real with one another, you know. Like, as one of them explained to me the other day, there's a difference between being nice and being honest. You know, you want to be nice to somebody, you don't say anything about when they're messing up. You don't correct them. You don't do any of that stuff. You want to be honest with somebody and true with somebody. You're going to hurt their feelings on occasion, you know? Like, so yeah, we're like, don't be nice to me. Be honest with me, you know? Like, it means something, you know? Nice is cool, but that ain't love, though. You know?
Right. You could be nice forever, but then that might not be the reality, like, that needs to happen. You know what I'm saying? It could be out of reality. That's very true, man. I wanted to talk to you, too, so I wanted to give you props because, number one, so there's two things that, from what I understand, from what I recall, last year, I want to give you your props for the North Coast Journal Best of, because you got voted Best Tattoo Artist, from what I recall, right?
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to you, man.
Thank you. That blew my mind. I was literally walking around town doing my normal thing, and people would be like, hey, I voted for you, man. I'm like, cool. For what? And they just keep walking off. And this happened for like a month or two, couple of months. I'm like, I don't know what is going on. People keep telling me they voted for me. I'm not running for office. I have no clue what is going on. And then somebody said, oh, yeah, I voted for you, man. I hope you win. I said, whoa. For what? What exactly? Are you joking? I said, no, I keep hearing this. What? For Best Tattoo Artist. I said, there's a thing for that? I said, yeah. And then, you know, a couple of weeks later, the North Coast Journal calls me up and says, yeah, we want to talk to you because you won. I won? I won what? Best Tattoo Artist. Oh, so people were being for real. Like, I didn't even know I was nominated. So, yeah, I believe it was Vanessa. You know, I say her last name wrong all the time. She runs the Reason to Listen poetry.
Oh, yeah.
Vatrick. Vanessa Vatrick and then Vatrick.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she nominated me. So shout out to her for showing love like that. That woman has been amazing to me for years. Like, she's awesome. So yeah, I get to work with the Reason to Listen, and yeah, man, shout out to that folks out there. If you ever want to come hear some of the most amazing poetry you've ever heard, first Thursday of every month we get together, Reason to Listen poetry session. I do live art, Goldilocks does music, and then we have some of the finest poets in Humboldt County come and read and do their stuff, and it is phenomenal every time.
Heck yeah.
And make you laugh, make you cry, like all the in-betweens. It's amazing.
And one of the longest ones out that's been running.
Yeah, I've been with them myself, I want to say, for like 10, 12 years, and they've been going longer than that. Yeah, they've been going for a bit longer than that even. So, like, I was blown away because I was like, yeah, we've been going for 12 years. And they were like, well, Dre, you've been doing it for about 12 years. I was like, oh, that's right. You guys, I've been fortunate enough that, they adopted me as the artist of that. And so, like, yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do every month is to go and do that. That, to me, is one of my therapy sessions there. Like, Wednesday nights under the bridge, that's my, like, therapy, but once a month to go there and hang out and listen to those people talk. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes, no, absolutely. That's one of the crucial things that we need more of. And, because other than them, I may be forgetting about some people, but there's only been they've been absolutely like you're talking about. They've been running it the longest.
Yeah.
And that's a feat in and of itself in
Yeah.
Humboldt County to have something like that just runs for that long because things change for people. People come go and everything like that, but they have been killing that. So shout out to Vanessa for that for sure.
Yeah. Vanessa and Teresa, I think it is, who run that. Yeah.
Heck yeah. And then some of the homies, other than you, I see some of the homies going down there. Ruffian be down there all the time.
Man. Ruffian is, shout out to that homie. He is probably one of my favorite MCs ever.
And the poet.
Man, listening to him speak, I've never heard anybody speak with something. To be able to put it to rhymes the way he does, to speak so articulately as he does, and to have it make complete sense. I've heard like a lot of MCs get down where they can rhyme a bunch of words, but you're like, just because you can rhyme words that sound alike, what you said makes no sense. Like, it sounds cool, like, just off the top, but when you listen, you're like, what's he talking about? Like,
right.
But Ruffian, that dude is like a philosopher, like high end. Yeah, he blows my mind to listen to him speak, and then like to hear what he's talking about. It's got so much depth to it. Like, yeah, that guy he's a huge inspiration on the freestyles. Like, yeah, and I've heard him do his writtens are mind blowing. His freestyle, I'm like, you wrote that. You had to write that. There's no way you just came up with that. But
and he really did off the dome.
He really did, and I'm like, you are one of it's spectacular to be around somebody like that, hear him get down. Like, yeah, one of the blessings for me, I feel like, in this like whole scheme of people that I've gotten to meet and like who made my life amazing. Yeah, he definitely one of them. Like,
absolutely. And what's crazy about it is we loop it back to somebody we talked about earlier in the broadcast, in the episode. I see the homie Ruffian say all the time publicly, because he's about showing respect to the OGs. One of his biggest inspirations is Knack One.
Yeah. It makes sense though. I mean, you listen to Knack One get down, he can be as articulate as anybody,
right?
And freestyle flow, and it all clicks and makes sense. I've heard a lot of MCs who get down and like, they're just making sounds and the words sound alike, but it don't make no sense, and that drives me insane. I'm like, man, we're here to speak and like put thought, plant a seed in people's mind. Quit just rambling stuff, like, come with something for real. I find myself doing that sometimes. I drive myself nuts. I'm like, you ain't talking about nothing. Like, speak about something. Like, plant a seed. Like, give some knowledge and some love. But yeah, Knack One, as articulate as everybody I've ever heard. Like, it's hard sometimes actually. When you're supposed to go up after him, and you're standing there with the mic, and he goes off for like 5 minutes, and then he's like, "Go," and you're just like, "I'm sorry, I'm still processing everything you just said," and like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm supposed to go now to, and then you're like, well, I'm going to sound terrible after this guy. Like, I got nearly as the articulation this guy does. So
right, now following up after Knack One is not an easy feat.
No, it is not, no. And the same with Ruffian, though. Like, man, some of his poetry, like last month when one of the poems he did, like, man, have you, like, I'm like sitting there going, I got something in both my eyes, nobody look,
Right.
Yeah.
No, he comes with the substance for sure. Shout out to Ruffian, man.
Yeah.
And so, now, in addition to the Best Tattoo Artist in Humboldt County Award last year of the North Coast Journal, there was also an article done about you. Now, was that, I can't remember, was that the North Coast Journal or another publication?
I want to say.
I think it was the Journal.
I want to say, it was the Journal, yeah.
Yeah, and that was dope. I remember reading that whole thing through. I'm like, man, I was like, because I had known you for, like I said, met you at the Fat Bowl Cypher. Now it's probably like around 3-something, maybe even up to like max 4 years ago or so. So I had known about you, followed you, seen what you've been doing and everything like that around here. And when I read that, I was like, this is not just the best, award that you got, but this was like overdue. Like it was good that they did that. Like, they need to be making sure that, we promote art so much in Humboldt County, but there's also like this kind of like, again, I don't want to get to, it's not a racial thing, and I'm not accusing anybody of any prejudice, racism, nothing like that. But I don't see enough people of color that are artists around here getting like what you got, like, which was like a full-on article written about you, and I was like, this is proper,
Yeah, pretty honored by the whole thing. And Julia Fukinson, she was cracking me up. She messaged me when that came out. She said, Dre, how many times now you been on the cover of the Journal? I said, don't know. Few. She's in the time I've known you, she said, I want to say this is at least like 4, maybe 5 times. I said, I think so. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I definitely, because her and I had one. We were in there when we were in the Empire Squared.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, 20 years ago. And then, like, yeah, I've had a few in there since. And I said, yeah, I've been pretty fortunate. Like, every now and then they take, acknowledgement of what I'm doing. And they're like, look at this crazy guy, what he's doing over here. I'm like, thank you. Appreciate the love. So,
Yeah, heck yeah.
yeah, it's cool to get acknowledgement like that. Like I said, and especially when I didn't know what was happening, I was just like, I'm just trying to do my thing and try to be the best I can at it, like my love for tattooing runs deep. Like I study hard for it, and like I put hours and hours that people don't see, outside the shop, just studying my craft and trying to learn to be better. And like, yeah, so to have somebody be like, hey, thank you for doing what you do, that was like, it meant a lot, man.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah, and we have to make sure we give respect to the people out here that are bringing us art on this level. Like I said, you've done, not just the tattooing, but you've done airbrushing. You have, you're talking about the reasons to listen, poetry jam and everything like that. We're talking about the art that you have, the pieces that you have painted, that you have sold to make people's spaces better, make people's lives better. You've once again, you donated your time and artwork for events again and again, not just the reasons to listen, but like I said, the Palestine events, other events other than that. You know what I'm saying? At the Fat Bowl Cipher, you've gone in and done live art at the Epitome Gallery and everything.
So
you know
we just did the benefit for the spot that burned down here in Arcata too, at the Humbers.
Yeah,
we did that with with Swizlo and all that. That was epic.
Arcata Rising is what it was called. Yeah,
that was epic, man.
$30,000 raised.
Dude, that was an amazing show. The music that went down, and like how long those people went, like, and how many people put in on that. And yeah, that was an epic show. I had such a good time. I think I painted for like 12 hours straight on that one. Like, it was such a good time.
Heck yeah.
As long as there's live music going. Like, I love to paint to painting to live music. So when I get invited to do live art, I almost never turn it down, because if there's music involved, I love painting to a live band and just live music bumping, and like, yeah, do it for hours.
Heck yeah.
People always ask, like, what kind of drugs you want? I said, believe it or not, I do this completely sober. Like, that's the kind of high I get from it, is just being around the people and the music and the feel, the vibe. Like, I don't need anything. Like, I drink water and hang out and just have a real good time. Like, yeah.
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah, so people crack me up. So, I've seen you out here for 10 hours painting. What do you want? I said, that bottle of water and this paintbrush. Like,
heck yeah.
That girl dancing over there, that guy smiling and dancing over there, this person over here, like, that's got me hyped up. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, and that's something too that I just want to, in general, to anybody listening now or on the podcast in the future, we got to make sure, when you're doing an event, not telling people just to make sure, like you always. I'm not telling people what to do, but it's a good idea if you're running an event and it's got some music like you talking about, and you want to bring even some more people in because people love the artists around here, have somebody doing some live art. You should not be having an event where somebody's not doing some live art.
I gotta say, for myself, business-wise, and like just being in Humboldt as long as I have, I say half of my business I get is from going and doing live art shows and people seeing me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hey, you're the guy who was doing live art. I've been hearing this so much lately. People, I saw you painting over here, but you do tattoos as well. I'm like, yeah, I would love to get some work from you, or I'd love to get a mural from you, so yeah, like, so much of it comes from being able to go to these shows, paint in front of everybody, have a good time, get to talk with everybody and interact, and they get to meet you. Some people you just click with, and they're like, you're the man to do my art, like, And so yeah, it's the live art shows. It's huge for me. Like, it's been a big part of like my success. I feel like is being invited to do that kind of stuff. So that's why I rarely ever turn it down. Like, unless I have something major else going on, I'll usually always go do some live art if it's a possibility.
Heck yeah. All right, and let me tell you what, and any event I've seen, when I've been out there and you've been doing it, everybody's been stoked to see you.
I appreciate So I get stoked to see them. Like, it's cool to get the love from folks out there. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes people come up and just give you these huge hugs, and I'm like, oh, hey, appreciate you too.
Right. They can't ragdoll you like the brother did way back, but they can give up and squeeze you as best as they could, Yeah, because art is so meaningful in our lives, man, because we all have to do, once again, we all have to grind so much, and, art is that release to where we can actually step out of that and step into our spiritual self and just really feel like, look at some art and let it hit you and like talk to your soul. We need more of that. We should be doing less work and more of that.
I've only had a couple of pieces that I've ever done in my life. I had one I did a while back ago where it hit somebody. I've been hit by a couple of times like that by an art piece where just like, I'm like, whoa, what is going on right now? I can't tell if I'm going to cry or laugh, or if I just overwhelmed with emotion from this thing, just hit you that way. Had a guy once looking at one of my pieces, and he's standing there for like 30, 40 minutes. And which most people spend like 2 to 3 minutes, if that, 30 seconds usually looking at a piece. This guy's there for 30, 40 minutes. And I didn't really get a look at him. I'm running around talking with everybody, being all social butterfly. Somebody says, Dre, you got to go talk to that guy. I said, why, what's up? I think he's crying. I said, what? Oh, man, I hope I didn't upset him that bad. So I go over there like, hey, how are you doing? You okay? He said, this piece is like, this is me. This is me on canvas, and nobody's ever put it like this. And he's like, and it wasn't like a happy piece. It was, like a piece about struggle and like survival and like oppression. And so like, yeah, he said, this is me. Like, never seen anybody put it on canvas. And he's like, I can't help but just cry. Like it hurts, but it feels good. And I said, wow, man, you just like made my entire art career up to this point worthwhile. Like with the fact that I like got you to feel something like that. So like, I feel like that as an artist, it's kind of what we're going for, is to affect people that way,
That's so dope, man.
And so yeah,
that's the reason for it all,
so
to really touch somebody on that level.
Yeah, I almost wanted to just give him the piece, but at the same time, I was telling somebody at the gallery, I was like, I kind of want to just give him the piece. And my friend looked at me and said, you really want to make him cry every day? I said, oh, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. I'm not going to give it to him then. Yeah. He said, if you're making him cry like this now, you want him to feel like this every day? I said, man, no, I guess not.
And no, fully. And that's the cool thing about it is sometimes it's just that, even for a moment, it's the homie Eli Fowler who said, we paint these pictures that blow away like sand blows on a beach, and it's like, and that's art. And when it touches somebody, even for those few moments before it blows away, you know what I mean? That's what it's really about.
Talk about inspirations. Eli, huge. That guy's probably one, like, just like him, Flo J, and like, there's so many, like, I know I'm going to forget to mention like a ton of people, but like, listening to Eli get down, that dude's like next level. Like, I don't know if a lot of people around here quite grasp the level that guy works on musically. Like, I've been blown away by him like time and time again. His style is just so unique to his own self. And like, I remember hearing him for a while before and then seeing him and I'm like, that's him? That's the dude right there? Like, he did not look anything like I thought, which was impressive to me in its own right. Because I'm like, you get these stereotypes in your mind, and even though you try not to do it, it's still, and then you see him, I'm like, that's not what I thought he would look like. That dude is, and then he was nice as could be, and just his flow is just sick.
Another level, you know? Yeah, absolutely. Hey, brother, I want to give you so much thanks and appreciation. This was a really dope episode. We got to call it here because this is time for the Battlefield Funk brothers to join us in the studio here. But let me tell you what, thank you for coming down and giving your story. And like I said, this is going on the podcast. And so, and I know I'm going to see you out there, but I just really appreciate you giving us your time. And shout out to you for everything you've done for this community over the years, brother, for real.
I appreciate you having me here, man. It's a big honor. Like I said, it's a huge honor for me. I've been listening and checking it out forever. And